Okay, you guys, I have some theories about the music industry and about Taylor Swift. Now, I have been a fan of Taylor Swift since her first album debut, but I am just also a music lover. I've always been a music lover, and I'm fascinated by the music industry. One of the best things about being a fan of Taylor Swift is the lore, the Taylor Swift lore. There's a lot of lore that goes into it, but one of the biggest conspiracies is that there was a lost album called Karma. And that album was supposed to be in between 1989 and Reputation. But there is a lot of references to the word karma from Taylor from that time all the way until now. And as you, I'm sure, know, she released Midnights, which had a single Karma, and the music video for that dropped just this week. Now, there's tons of theories of what karma means now, and some people think it's a book, some people think it's a movie, it could be an album, but I think that it's a record label. Now, there are a lot of reasons that I think this, and I'm going to break it down. I haven't worked out all the details of this theory, but feel free to chime in the comments, and we can do it together. Now, there's a lot of parts to this theory, but for the first part, we're going to go back to 2018 when Taylor decided to leave Big Machine and sign with Republic and Universal Music Group, UMG, and leave behind Big Machine that she had been with since she was 15 years old. Now, everybody knows about her battle with Big Machine and Scooter Braun and getting her masters, and that is why we get the re-recordings, which are Taylor's versions, which is her re-recording all of her songs because she didn't own her masters. And she is the first artist to successfully do that in a really big way. And this was thought to be a really defining moment for the music industry as a whole because it really opened up some opportunities for other artists who are in similar situations. Now, Taylor had a lot of leverage and bargaining power when she decided to go with UMG. Obviously, because she has a ton of star power and she could get pretty much what she wanted. And she negotiated to get her masters. So now from the Lover album on, Taylor owns everything that she records herself. Now, we don't know what was in Taylor's record contract. No one does. But it was framed as being a really good partnership and that they were going to be a really artist-friendly label going forward. But as you can see here, and you can pause to read if you want to, the Wall Street Journal reported that UMG actually changed the record contracts for the artists that they signed going forward, effectively doubling the amount of time that contracts restrict an artist from re-recording their work. Part two. Okay, in the last part, I showed you how UMG, who was supposed to be an artist-friendly label now, had changed their record contracts going forward, that their artists would have to wait 10 years to do re-recordings similar to Taylor's instead of the 5 years that was standard at the time. Now, this change from UMG occurred while Taylor was re-recording her Red album for the Taylor's versions after they saw the success of the Fearless Taylor's version, because obviously they realized that the re-recordings were going to be successful and they didn't want to deal with that from future artists. Now, obviously, 2020 had been a big year for Taylor as she had released and recorded Folklore and Evermore, which were massively successful, more so than she probably ever imagined. And the reason that she probably wouldn't have imagined that they would be so successful is because she released them with no marketing. She just dropped them. They were surprise releases, and they were, especially Folklore was one of her most successful albums and brought in a whole new audience. Now, flash forward to 2021, and she realizes that the Taylor's versions, the re-recordings, are going to be a success. Her fans stuck by her. They're going to make it very successful. She's re-recording Red, and she realizes between the releases of Folklore and Evermore and the re-recordings that with the relationship she has with her fans, she's pretty unstoppable. Now, at the same time that she realizes this power, UMG changes their contract structure in the future to not be as artist-friendly as they pretended they were going to. So instead of Taylor being a pioneer in doing this, she effectively had a role in contracts being even stricter for new artists than they were before. Part three. Okay, it's the latest book, so I'm going to do this part because you can see me progressively getting tired, and then I will finish the other parts when I get up later. Okay, continuing the story. So we don't know what was in Taylor's record contract, but generally artists tour to support their latest album, and that is one of Taylor's biggest appeals to record labels is that she always sells out her tours, and at the time, Reputation was the biggest tour ever. It made the most money that has ever been made on a tour, so that is a big part of her appeal as an artist. Now, obviously, since coronavirus stopped Loverfest and she wasn't able to tour the Folkmore era, then we have Midnights. And obviously, instead of just touring Midnights, they turned it into the Eras Tour, and the Eras Tour is selling unprecedented number of tickets and is making money hand over fist. But it's also the biggest tour ever. It's literally, in terms of production, the most iconic tour that anybody's ever put on. So it stands to reason that it's possible that Taylor Swift is about to be at a point where she can renegotiate her contract with UMG. Okay, so hold on to that, and we're going to branch off into another area of this theory. And now we're going to talk about the re-recordings. Now, everybody knows about Taylor Swift and her Easter eggs. Her fans love finding them. She loves leaving them. And one of the big things that she likes to Easter egg is upcoming projects, and that includes albums and re-recordings. Now, we were getting a ton of Easter eggs for Speak Now, which she has already announced, but she has also been Easter egging all of the eras in all of her recent music videos, commercials, etc., including her Bejeweled music video, the Capital One music video, and most recently, her Karma music video. Now, fans have been super confused because she's been hinting really, really strongly at 1989, but there are also hints for Reputation. There are reasons to think that Reputation will come before 1989, but then there have been some debut hints as well, and the most recent TikTok videos of people dissecting the Karma music video that just came out this week, they have determined that October is a really important date. I'm back. Okay, part 4. Like I was saying in the last TikTok, if you watch any of the TikToks analyzing the new Karma video, a lot of people are saying that October is a really important date. And in my opinion, that could be the date of our last re-records that we get from Taylor. And we're getting Speak Now in July. So she could be dropping a re-release in July, one in August, one in September, and one in October. And I only think that because a lot of signs do point to October being a really important date. So it makes sense that that was the end of the re-records, but also just because I think that she wants to have them done before the end of this year. Who is a Taylor Swift fan knows that 2023 especially has been feeling like it's building up to something. She has been putting out so much content, really starting in the Midnights era, putting out tons of content, music videos, Easter eggs, commercials, albums, and then of course the Era Tour, which it seems like something new happens every night. She's even been doing pap walks again, making sure that she is seen in the media front and center, and that everybody is really focused on Taylor Swift, the person and the brand. Taylor fans also know that she has been very much in her capitalist era. She's always been a capitalist, but it's been absolutely insane since Midnights, which I don't agree with at all, but it's definitely prevalent, and it has led to her breaking tons of records. Taylor seems very, very focused on breaking records of all sorts and kind of proving herself once again in the music industry. Like, people don't say Taylor Swift is the music industry for no reason. That, of course, includes the Eras Tour, which, whether you're a fan of Taylor or not, you cannot escape how successful that tour has been and the production of it. But also, it's important to note that almost every opening act that Taylor has is a queer artist, and particularly a female queer artist. And Taylor has also incorporated queer dancers and queer couples in all of her dancing through every era on her stage. Now, this is important to note because I think that the record label that she's going to start with queer artists, and particularly female queer artists. And the goal of the label is going to be to allow people to be who they are and to own their masters and to have a partnership with the artist and the label. Part 5. Okay, I know it took 4 parts to get here, but now you know the backstory, and here is where it actually gets interesting. Okay, so like I was talking about in the last TikTok, it has seemed like it's been really important for Taylor in the last year especially, but really since she signed her new contract and started the re-records, to really establish herself as someone to contend with in the music industry. She's breaking records. She is making films. She is kind of unstoppable, especially right now with the Eras Tour. And I think that's because she is trying to gather as much social currency and like clout in the industry and respect in the industry as possible. And where the queer dancers and the queer openers come in is that she is also trying to prove that even if you are out in queer in the music industry, you can still be successful. Now, that may seem obvious, like there are a lot of artists that are out and queer, especially now, but it is very, very common in Hollywood, in the movie industry, in the music industry, to be closeted, and for record labels to really discourage people from coming out or establishing themselves as queer right up front, or even if you are queer, to be encouraged to come out as like bisexual, even if you're not, and not to like rub it in people's faces, and really just so that you don't offend anybody. And I think that the point that she is making is that these openers and this entire tour is incredibly successful, even though all of those openers are queer, or maybe even because of it. So that's kind of debunking the whole industry theory that if you are out and queer, you won't be as successful as somebody who isn't. Now, there is a whole group of people who believe that Taylor Swift is queer, and I do happen to fall in that group of people, but whether or not you think that she is queer really doesn't matter in this context. It's really about artists and artists being able to be who they want to be and be themselves, and to be able to connect with their fans on a real level without having to pretend, and also artists owning their masters. Now, if you pay attention to who is in Taylor Swift's social circle, the last month notwithstanding, then you'll notice that she has been surrounded by queer female artists a lot recently, particularly at the Grammys after party. Taylor held a party, and if you look at the photos, she is surrounded by queer female artists almost exclusively at that party, and Jack Antonoff, and like Joe was in the background. Okay, part 6, I think. Another facet to the karma theory that could be connected is the mass coming out theory. Now, we all know that there are a lot of artists that are forced to be closeted in the music industry, whether by morality clause, contracts, record contracts, their team, whatever. And the mass coming out theory is that those artists, or many of those artists, are going to band together, use their collective leverage and social power to all come out at the same time to kind of withstand the storm together and stand up to the industry as a whole. Now, that may sound insane, but it's not unprecedented. Actually, in Germany in 2021, there were over 185 actors and actresses that came together, and they had all different types of LGBTQIA identities, from gay, lesbian, bisexual, non-binary, transgender, etc. And they all came together to make a statement to the industry, collectively put all their names on a statement and presented it to all of the industry heads and the big wigs in the industry. And that was actually very successful. Interestingly enough, the next year, in 2022, there were, I can't remember how many, but like 200 members of the Catholic Church that came out in the same way, in a mass coming out, where they made a statement saying they didn't want to hide who they were anymore. And that was pretty successful as well. I don't know how to TikTok very well, so I'm going to add those articles at the end of this TikTok, and you can kind of see what I mean. So with that precedent set and that being successful, you can see how if you are an closeted artist in the industry, or even if you are someone who cares a lot about the fate of artists in the industry as a whole, then you can see how that can be really appealing. I wasn't able to find a ton of information about the coming out theory. I've really just seen people reference it. And then when I Googled it, that was what I was able to find from the incidences in Germany. So if you know somebody who's talking about it, make sure and link them in the comments, because I would love to know more. Now, when you combine the idea of a mass coming out, of artists owning their masters, of a partnership with artists and their record labels, rather than just being commodities, you can start to see how this can be way bigger than just Taylor Swift and a record label. Okay, so most of the time when I've seen people break down the karma song, I've seen them break it down like line by line and what it means. Like, karma is a cat in your lap, karma is your boyfriend, your wind in your hair on the weekend, whatever. But to me, that just means like karma is everywhere. It's in the most mundane aspects of your life. It's in the air. It's in something as simple as your cat. It's in all aspects. And that's she keeps her side of the street clean. That means because like she is saying that she is a good person, and and then she says like, aren't you envious that for you it's not? So like, you're not a good person, so you don't have that aspect of karma in your life all the time. And by you, obviously that can be interpreted as like Scooter Braun or Scott or whoever, but I think it's the industry as a whole, or at least like the big wigs of the industry that control everything. Okay, now when we look at Ice's verse, it says, karma is your checks about to bounce, fire in your house. And obviously, I think that means like record companies are not going to be cashing the checks on the backs of artists anymore, and fire in their house. Like, they are going to be panicking because they've kept the status quo for so long, and they're going to turn it on their heads. Now, the next line is she about to pop up unannounced. And I think that that means like Taylor is going to come out of nowhere and really blow everything up, and nobody's going to see it coming. Okay, then Taylor says, ask me what I learned from all those years. Ask me what I learned from all those tears. Obviously, she has had a lot of conflict with record labels, Big Machine. I'm sure there are a ton of things that go on behind the scenes that we don't know anything about. And I think the entire thing has really disillusioned her. And then UMG's, agreement that they were going to be like a artist type of label, and then they went back and changed their contracts, kind of really was the nail in the coffin of like, all record labels are bad. Now, karma's going to track you down step by step from town to town. I think that refers to the Eras Tour. And then we end with, karma's going to take all my friends to the summit. Obviously, she's going to bring all her friends with her to this new venture. We have midnights, and now we have dawn, and we are about to hit daylight. And I think that means freedom for Taylor and all of the other artists. Okay, it's funny that you say this. It says maybe Harry will be a part of this mass coming out thing, because it was actually from Harry fans that I first heard about this. It was like a comment of some video, and they were Harry fans, and they were talking about it. And then I kind of saw it brought up a few other times, and then I kind of started to ask questions and try to find more about it. And I haven't found a ton out about it. So again, if you know anything, like hit me up in the comments. But I definitely think that Harry is part of the coming out thing, and it seems like there are a lot of artists who are part of it. And I say that because there are there's a million different fandoms, and it seems like there are a lot of artists that the people who are really into the fandom, like some people are for Taylor Swift. Obviously Harry has his own, Lizzo has, everybody has like their stands. And it seems like the hardcore fans of a lot of different fandoms have like had some hints and like some rumblings about stuff like this, like that people are dropping hints, or just that there's a new level of like kind of enthusiasm and excitement. It just seems like something's in the air in the industry right now. Not with everybody, but with a lot of people that, and that maybe the mainstream public wouldn't notice, but that their stands definitely do. And that's like exciting, but there are also a lot of artists that kind of drop hints and that are friends with Taylor. So like Kelsey Ballerini, for example, a lot of people watch her TikToks because they think that she drops Easter eggs for Taylor. And like, I don't know what everybody's record contracts are or anything. So like, it's not like everybody's gonna be able to like get out of their contracts and, jump on board. But even if they aren't able to come to this record label or whatever originally, I think it's just really exciting to know that it's happening. And especially if you are in the LGBTQIA community, or if you are a really strong ally, it's exciting to know that like some people will be able to like live their truth. And I don't think people understand what it's like to have to be closeted, especially when you really want to be authentic with your fans, or even people, your team, like whatever. So anyway, I just think it's really exciting. I do think Harry's a part of it. I think there are a lot of artists that are part of it, and I would love if you are part of a fandom, or if you've heard of a fandom, rumblings in the fandom, leave it in the comments, because I kind of want to like make my own little list of who we think is involved. And I kind of have a little theory about Hollywood too, and how that could tie in, but I will add that in my next video. Okay, follow up to this last video. We're talking about a mass coming out in the music industry, but also perhaps in Hollywood. In Germany, when the mass coming out happened with the actors and actresses there, then when that was successful the next year, a lot of people from the Catholic Church came out and did it the same way in a mass coming out. And I have a video about that on my page. But it's possible that Hollywood is gonna, take a cue from the music industry, and if that goes well, then they'll be able to do it too. In the music industry, obviously going first because of the fandom of Taylor Swift. She has a fandom like nobody else really ever has in history, except maybe like the Beatles. And even that was a lot more like screaming fans and like hardcore, like people who wanted to see them and consume their music, but there wasn't so much like lore and history into all of that. So anyway, that is why the music industry will go first. But something that I've been asking myself with this whole fucking Maddie Healy situation is like, why so many people in the music industry and in Hollywood and just like in entertainment continue to publicly support Taylor so much, even when she's under fire like this. And I've seen a lot of people just say like, well, shitty people just in Hollywood, like they support each other because they're all shitty. And I mean, say whatever you want to believe about that. But I think that that's too easy of an answer, because Hollywood and the music industry are really cutthroat, and it is really easy to just like not only not actively support somebody, but you can also like just be quiet or just stay out of it. That's really common. So for so many people to be visibly still supporting, going to the Eras tour, dropping Easter eggs, and people also who are like historically pretty unproblematic in general, like Blake and Ryan, Selena, Nicole Kidman, like pretty powerful people in Hollywood and in the music industry, all still really supporting her during this like whole backlash period. And it just makes me wonder, like, what do they know that we don't? And I don't think it's that they just are like, oh, we know Matty Healy and he's like actually a good person and we don't care what he does. I don't think that that's it. I think it's more than that. I think that they know more than we do about what's to come and what's the point of it all. I don't think it's worth the Matty Healy of it all, but I do think it's interesting.